Right, welcome to the Crafty Mariana Podcast. I am your host, Mariana, former corporate marketing girly turned crafting workshop host. And if you ever thought, can my crafts actually make money? Then this is the show for you. Each episode, I share stories from creative entrepreneurs who dare to think a little bit different and went beyond the make and sell model, along with lessons from my own journey building a six-figure workshop business. You can expect honest conversations about what it really takes to build a creative business. So grab yourself a cup of tea and let's dive in. And we are recording. So welcome to another Crafty Mariana Podcast interview. Today I am here with Kenny Indenge.
Indenge, yeah,
Indenge, who is the co-founder of Paintly.
exactly.
And just a note for, because a lot of people who follow me and listen to the podcast are from America. And when I was researching Paintly, I found there is a similar, not really similar, but a company with a similar name that's also called Paintly or with something else that does like paint by numbers kits. This is not that Paintly. Paintly, the Paintly we're talking about is a company based in Brussels.
Exactly in Belgium, yeah.
Belgium. Who organizes paint night type workshops. And so I'm gonna have a conversation with Kenny, who's a co-founder, and I'm gonna basically, hopefully, find out all about it. So without much, I feel like my introduction wasn't a very good introduction because I don't know you that well.
Yeah,
This is the
for now,
first
yeah.
time we chat. And I follow Paintly online, but I find that the account is very much centered on the workshops. Like you don't really share, about you, or because if you're a co-founder, then there's other co-founders, which I'm
Yeah.
quite curious to hear about. So if you didn't mind to talk a little bit about what is Paintly, what inspired you, who are the other co-founders, like how it came about, anything you want to share.
Yeah, sure. So, Paintly started 2 years and a half ago now.
Hmm.
So we are two co-founders. So it's me and Brandon, who is one of my kindergarten friends, I would say. We
Oh,
went to
wow.
school back in the days together, so life brought us back together.
Yeah, that's cool.
So how I found the ideas was just during a trip in South Africa. I
Hmm.
participated to a sip and paint over there, and I found
Hmm.
it really interesting because it was different from what we usually do. And I
Hmm.
just thought that this would be something that people back in Belgium would love. And this is how Paintly came to life, actually.
Wow, that is so cool. And can you like walk over a little bit like what was sort of launching it, what was involved in terms of like going from, okay, you have this idea that you saw in South Africa to then like starting the first sessions.
Yeah, so how it started actually. I was looking for art shop. I had a few friends that were artists to who I was asking some questions, but I didn't wanted to tell them too much information. So one
Hmm.
day I just found an art shop. I went and bought all the art stuff, and all the materials stayed basically in my trunk for like 6 months because I was like, okay, I got the material now, but I was not really thinking about it that it could really work. And
Hmm.
one day I was just like, okay, I think it's time I need like a side hustle. And I started looking for locations. I went into a few bars, a few cafes, and I found someone that was really interested in the concept. He said yes. And that's how we launched our first event.
Wow. So you just kind of, did you run the first sessions straight away, or did you get someone
Uh,
else to?
no, so I knew a friend that had a friend that was in an art school.
Okay.
I asked that person,
Classic.
hey, I
Yeah.
have a new concept. Do you think you can help me with this? And she just
Hmm.
said, yeah. And from that on, she was the host. since I'm not
Mm-hmm.
really an artist.
Mm-hmm.
She was running the workshops, and I was just behind, see if everything was going smooth. I have done a lot of events in my life, so I was more into the hospitality, welcoming the clients, smiling,
Mm-hmm.
checking everything's going good for them. And she was really the art, the
Mm-hmm.
stand. So that's
Yeah.
how we started.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I guess it's quite similar to me because I also wouldn't, I mean, I'm very crafty, but I wouldn't consider myself an artist. And that's probably why I haven't done that many workshops in terms of painting because I always feel like it's quite intimidating. But I love to do like the behind the scenes sort of thing and the marketing work, which is probably also what you do, I assume. But I don't know. We'll get
We
to
try to, but
know.
the hard part is when you're in,
Hmm.
sometimes you don't think about all the things you could do because you need things
Yeah,
to just run from day to day.
yeah, yeah,
So that's
totally.
also a challenge that we faced in Faintly for more than a year actually.
Yeah.
But right now things are going better, so
Yeah, that's good. And how many people are part of the Paintly team now? In how many cities are you guys operating in?
so right now I created a new group on WhatsApp a few days ago. I think
Hmm.
we are approximately 20 people
Oh, cool. Wow.
in 4 countries. So
Hmm.
Belgium, the Netherlands, the UK. We
Hmm.
have our first event in Italy, actually, in 2 days.
Oh, wow.
And we are launching in France next week in Paris,
Hmm.
in 2 weeks, actually. So it's gonna be 5 countries and a
Wow.
little bit more than 20 people.
Wow. Wow, that's so cool. I definitely want to like ask you more things about Paintly specifically, but it just occurred to me that yeah, we didn't like talk too much about you, I suppose. So I'll be quite interested in figuring out because I said you from South. Are you from South Africa originally, and you moved to Belgium, or?
No, actually, I was born and raised in Belgium. I
Ah, okay.
just like to
Just moved there.
travel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 That makes sense. Um, but yeah, if you wanted to like tell us a little bit more about sort of like your background, what else you do outside of Paintley, like who is Kenny Indenge?
So I'm 29 years old today. I
Oh
studied
wow,
mark.
today.
No, I mean at the day of
Ah,
today.
okay, okay,
Like
okay,
not today,
okay,
but now I'm
okay.
29,
I get it, I get
turning
it.
30 soon. I study marketing basically at school in uni.
Hmm.
After that, I started to work in still in marketing. But beside that, I have always been hosting events like clubs events, afterworks. I started doing group trips, and people were always telling me you are good at organizing things, but I never knew how I could make this a living.
Hmm.
And when I started Paintly, I was like, okay, I'm not an artist, but this is still just an event that I need to organize. And
Hmm.
since I had years of training into organizing stuff, that's how actually Paintly came to life.
Yeah.
Yeah, beside that, I love traveling. I love discovering new places. Haven't been to New Zealand yet, but maybe one day.
You should come. Yeah, it's kind of like really really far away from everything else, quite hard to get to, but yeah, once you hear it, it feels like a very different sort of world because everything is kind of slower here and you kind of have to drive everywhere because public transportation isn't that great. And all the like
Yeah.
all the good things to see are all out of the cities. While in
Oh,
Europe,
okay.
it's like all the cool things are in the
It's
cities,
in the
right?
city, yeah.
So that's kind of a difference. You really need to, yeah, get a car and drive around and go to all the cool spots in nature and whatnot. But yeah, you should definitely come. If you come, let me know. That'll be super cool. I always love to, yeah, host people, so that'll be super awesome. Um, cool. So you still working in marketing, or are you managing Paintly full time? Like what it's
Yeah, so now I have a part-time job that I use. I'm actually a data analyst for a company.
okay.
So that's what I do part of my time, but the rest of
Hmm.
my time is really Paintly. I even
Hmm.
work on the weekend, so when I'm
Yeah.
not at my office, I'm at Paintly's office. So,
Do you guys have an office?
yeah, we have an
Yeah.
office, yeah.
Oh wow, that's so cool. Yeah, that's so wow. That must keep you like really busy. If you're still
Yeah.
managing another job. And what sort of? So I guess you have a co-founder. So it's the two of you. Because when you say you had a team of like 20, is it the two founders working on like the management side of things, and then the rest is like hosts delivering the sessions, or what does the team look like in that sense of structure?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm more handling all the creative part. So the image of Paintly, the branding, the
Hmm.
marketing is me, and Brandon, that is my co-founder, is more handling the HR and the financial part.
Hmm.
So just naturally we took
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
positions, and now it's been 2 years that we both have different roles in the company, but
Yeah.
it works really good. So
Yeah, I guess you must have like complementary skills
yeah, exactly.
that you can work really well together. That's really important when you have like a co-founder.
Yeah, I think it's
Um
also important to know your strengths and your weaknesses.
yeah,
Even during
yeah.
the workshop, Brandon is more social. I'm less
Mm,
social than him. But we
hmm.
always try to make things worse and to bring what we can bring where we are.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, I feel like I'm for a long time up until very recently I was like it was just me. And that felt so I had to do like everything,
Hmm.
the marketing, behind the scenes, admin, operations, also the finances and everything. Only until, well, not really recently because it's been over 6 months that I've started hiring people. But yeah, it's been quite of a journey. And so, what else? Let me here revert back to my questions because I feel like I still have so much to ask you that I want to figure out. So, how do you organize? You mentioned a WhatsApp um, a WhatsApp group that I guess you communicate with the hosts, but how do you go in terms of like coordinating the hosts to do it in other countries? I think that's something that like people will be really intrigued about because it's like you have to find someone else in a different country and then train them and then also find the venues.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything. I know that like a lot of what you do will probably also be, sort of like IP, or I wouldn't say trade secret, but it's like, I could understand that you don't want to reveal too much because it's, at the core of your business, but whatever generalistic way you can explain how you guys kind of operate, I think they'll be really interesting for me and probably my audience as well,
Yeah,
hopefully.
sure. So how we started. So in the beginning was just working with a Google Calendar actually.
Hmm.
So we're putting events, and if you part of the team and you want to work to this workshop, you just put your name in the calendar, and like that
Hmm.
we knew who was working what day and who was not working that day.
Hmm.
What we noticed with time is that sometimes from a few months, it was always the same people working. But for us
Hmm.
as the co-founders, we had no problem since there was someone's working. But one
Hmm.
day on a team meeting, actually people started to complain that it was always the same people working because they were just faster at putting their names.
Yeah.
There were
Yeah.
no more free shifts for other people. So we found a company that just is just a working platform where
Hmm.
we just put all the dates and people have to request to work, and like that we know who's working, who worked that amount of hours, who didn't work
Mm.
enough, and then we try to regulate a little bit
Hmm.
the working hours. So that's how we are managing the schedules now. So this
Hmm.
is really helping us to save a lot of times. And regarding the recruitment of all the other cities, so actually when we started Bentley and we started to expand, we were wondering how can we hire people in places we don't know and we don't even speak the languages.
Hmm.
So we just said, since we have a car, we will host events in every city that we can go to by car. That is maximum 2 hours drive. So
Okay.
from Brussels, this was Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and that's how we actually went to the Netherlands for the first time. So
Yeah.
it was always going to our team from Brussels to the other cities every time, every time. And
Okay.
one day, what happened? We had two events at the same time, one in Rotterdam, one in Brussels. And then we had to figure out something. So that's
Hmm.
how we started to look for new people. Since we do a lot of advertising, we always have a lot of people from the other countries that follow us on social media. And when
Hmm.
we just post a job offer, people come in our DM or email us, hey, I'm looking for a job position. And then we
Hmm.
start to just listen to them,
Hmm.
see what they can do. And that's actually how the team started to grow and how we started to recruit people in other cities.
Yeah. Yeah, once you start having a bit more of a profile, I guess people naturally gravitate towards you. That also happened with my own business. Well, only people in New Zealand because I only operate in New Zealand, but yeah, that makes total sense. Wow, so Amsterdam is 2 hours away by car from Brussels.
From Brussels, yeah.
Ah, okay. So you had people literally drive there and then
Yeah,
back.
so I would drive to every event actually. And the
Wow.
events were ending like at 11, and I had to work at 8 in the morning, so I had to drive back every time. And I did that for a whole
Wow.
year.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing with like, yeah, starting a company. Yeah, you just kind of do what you have to do, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to make it work, you just do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds so crazy to me, but I think like if I was in Europe and I wanted to make it work, I would have done that. I'm from Portugal, by the way. I'm not from New
Oh,
Zealand.
okay.
So I never been to Belgium, but it's sort of on my map to visit.
But in the beginning, it's actually really exciting. You go to a
Hmm.
new location, you meet new people, and
Yeah.
when your events are full, you're more than happy to be there. So in the beginning,
Hmm.
it's really exciting, a lot of adrenaline. You drive back home happy with a smile because your event was a success. So you don't really realize that you are really doing something crazy. You
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
realize when you
Yeah.
talk to people, they're like, I would never do that. And then you're like, why?
Why? No, I totally agree with that because there was also like when I had that feeling as well. You know, when you have your first when I had my first workshops, they were like, you know, big groups sold out, especially like back to back sessions. Because I go to other cities here in New Zealand for workshop. I don't do that so much anymore, but I used to. Um, yeah, it's like huge working weekends, and when I tell people, they're like, why you do it?" But I just like had so much fun because it's kind of the novelty of it, you know. But yeah, I
Yes.
totally feel you. Yeah, that is so cool. Okay, what else? What else do I want to know about Paintly? Let me go back here to my questions. I feel like there's still so much that I want to know about. So, at the moment, you manage to like hire people from other cities who run the sessions. In during the sessions, do you are the Paintly sessions like it's all painting on canvas, so I assume acrylics. In does it run like structured, you know, paint and sip, where like everyone does the same artwork? or is it like free flowing and anyone does whatever they want?
Yeah, so our session aren't really a class. They are more freestyle. As we have just a portfolio of images that we give people, they have a look, they keep the image they want, and they try to recreate it. And the
Mm-hmm.
hosts are helping them, giving them guidance, helping them for the drawing if they don't manage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
not really a class.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think that works really well. That's also how I run most of my workshops. But here, I don't know if there's many places like that in Europe, but here in New Zealand is very common. There's like, franchises who, do these paint and sip classes, and it's usually like I've also seen it in America, but I guess I haven't seen it in Europe. I don't think so. Where everyone that comes does the same drawing and it's
Hmm.
like guided step by step, which is, kind of similar, but a different, it creates a different sort of vibe, I suppose.
Yeah, I've seen it on social media, but not really in Europe.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. I wonder if it's like some sort of cultural, I don't know, some sort of cultural thing.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe just a variation of the workshop to do something different.
yeah. Yeah. And in terms of like the venues that you work with, how how do you sort of approach them? And do you pay them or do they pay you? Or I mean, I don't know if you are okay with talking about that, but I know that's something that people I help setting up their own workshops, they really yeah, they really struggle with like yeah, finding venues and figuring out spaces. Do you
Okay,
have
so
any advice on that?
the first venue that we had was a small cafe where we first hosted our event for I think the first 6 months, and then we got approached by a hotel, and the difference between the hotel and the cafe was like since it's a hotel and they don't really their bar is not really running a lot. They don't request you to hit a target in terms of drinks and
Yeah.
food. While when you go to a bar or cafe, they're like, okay, this is my free Thursday. I give it to you, but I want you to make this amount.
Mm-hmm.
So we really like working with hotel because we had less pressure, you know.
Yeah.
And what happened is that when we started to work with one hotel, only hotels would contact us to host our workshop at their places. So we
Mm,
actually never had a problem finding a new venue because venue would look for us. So in the
yeah.
beginning, we would just go to one venue from another venues from another venue. So we host event every week in Brussels, for example, and every week we have a different venue. So
Yeah.
you can come twice in the same month, and it will be two different experiences because
Yeah.
we work with hotels that have a nice environment, and the
Mm,
experience would be quite different, although it's still the same experience. Uh, yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Ah,
that makes
yeah.
a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and we in the beginning we didn't pay for the venue. Actually, we never paid for venue. Just
Mm-hmm.
one venue asked us once to pay for it, and we declined gently,
Mm-hmm.
of course.
Yeah.
But now,
Yeah.
but now, yes, since we are quite busy and have our main venues, if a new venue asks us, we require them to pay us a fee to host an event at their places.
Yeah. 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 That makes sense. Yeah, that works really well when, I guess because those hotel bars, they'll have their quiet times and they're probably happy to have you there because you are bringing the people, which
Yeah,
is usually the most important part or
and
the hardest part. Um, just making
and the
sure this
good
is
thing with
working because I
hotels
think.
is that
Can you
when
hear
you
me?
have one location,
Oh,
usually
there.
went from one hotel brand.
Let's just pause here for a second. Yeah, I think Kenny fell off the chat, maybe because of internet connection. Let's see if he jumps back in. Actually,
Sorry,
oh,
I
you're
don't know
back.
what happened.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
I think there's a problem with the Wi-Fi, but I turned it off.
Yeah,
Should be fine now.
that's all good. Um, that is
Sorry
all
for that.
good. It happens. Hopefully, the recording is being saved still. Yeah, I don't know how. I guess we'll figure it out once we're finished, you know. We will get what we will get, and it's just what it is. But that's fine. You back up. So
Yeah. And I was
my cat's
actually
annoying.
saying something important. I don't know if you heard it. I was saying that how we actually expand is that when we started to work with a hotel, uh,
Hmm.
other hotels from the same group were just like, "Oh, this event is working well. Do you have the contacts?" And that's actually how
Mm-hmm.
we managed to grow that fast. We're only working
Hmm.
with the same hotel, actually. They just
Yeah,
take us from one location to another, to another, to another.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Because there would be those hospitality groups who have more than one venue.
yeah, exactly.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Um, I guess, yeah. I think that's when you fell off the call in the studio, and I was asking you about yeah, the I guess these hotel bars are really happy to have you there because you bring in the people, which is sometimes the hardest part to do, which basically means that you're doing your marketing really well. And that's kind of what I also wanted to ask you a little bit about, because I think that's where a lot of people struggle as well, in terms of, I guess you've grown your, like, the Instagram page quite a bit. I don't know in terms of Europe, like if there will be considered a lot of followers or not. But how do you, like, what is the main things that you do to sort of fill these workshops in terms of the marketing? You seem to have like a really consistent branding, which looks super cool. Um, but yeah, anything around the marketing of what you do, what do you think is the thing that works the best for you?
Yeah. So, like I said, before Bentley, I was already running events, so I have always
Hmm.
been familiar with the business manager running ads. So right now, we mainly run ads on Meta. For the
Hmm.
first 2 years, we only did Instagram ads, so no Facebook, only Instagram.
Okay.
And we managed to get all our events full just by using Instagram. So a lot of videos, events after movies, some collaboration with some influencers. So that was basically how it was working for the first 2 years. Right now,
Hmm.
we are trying to diversify. We started to do Google Ads a few months ago,
Hmm.
and in the upcoming months, we are going to start to TikTok ads as well.
Hmm.
Especially when the US ban happened on TikTok, I noticed that you
Hmm.
cannot live with just one traffic source. You really have to diversify.
Yeah.
So right now,
Yeah.
we are really trying to diversify our traffic source.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm thinking as well. For me, it's been working really well with like Facebook and Instagram. I guess I, run in both because when once you
Yeah.
run from Meta, you can run on both platforms because it's all part of the same thing. But now with opening my own studio, I definitely want to like go more into the Google Ads. I think they can be really good, and I've done it in the past as well. But yeah, I usually sell it out just from social media, so that's pretty cool. And when you do collaborations with influencers, do you pay them to go to the events and create content, or like do you mind talking a little bit about that? Because
Yeah, of
that's
course.
something that I'm super intrigued about.
Yeah. So actually, we have one person in the team. She's the only one that
Hmm.
is not a host and not a co-founder. So her job
Oh,
is
okay.
really social media, but more the influencer and PR. So she's
Hmm.
really handling all the negotiation with the influencers, and she's
Hmm.
really good at negotiating. So
Oh, cool. Yeah.
she is trying to save us as much money as we can. But yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes of course you always have to pay because once the collaboration is good from both sides, he enjoy the collaboration, we enjoy the result. We want to collaborate again with
Hmm.
that person, and then
Hmm.
the second time we must pay a fee or
Mm-hmm.
just accept the price that they will give us because we know that you have a good return on investment.
Mm-hmm.
For
Mm-hmm.
example, I remember when we started in the Netherlands, we had a few influencers coming to our events. And I think it was the first influencer that we pay. We pay her 200 euros. It's up more or less $220,
Mm-hmm.
$220.
Mm-hmm.
And she sold 90 tickets in the next 40 hours, 48 hours.
Oh wow.
So from that day, we really started to believe that, okay, this is real.
Yeah, yeah.
Since
Wow,
that
yeah.
day, we don't really have a problem when someone asks us for money because we know that the
Mm-hmm.
return on investment, really can see it. And some influencers are really profitable. They really have a good audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's really a matter of like picking those right influencers that, they have an audience and their audience trusts them. So if they recommend something, you'll probably see a good return on more people coming to your events. That makes total
Yeah.
sense. What has it been like the most challenging parts over the past 2 years? Is weird.
Um, I would say the recruitment started to be a problem when we started to recruit in other countries, not even cities, but countries.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was not finding the people that was hard. It was
Mm-hmm.
the legal part. So making the
Mm-hmm.
contracts, because every country has different laws. In some countries,
Yeah.
you have to pay for pension, other holidays. Every country has different law. And
Yeah.
since we are the co-founder, it's for now, actually, it's only us that have to handle that. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's really frustrating because doing all that legal document by your own can be really hard and it take a lot of time. Sometimes it's not even
Mm-hmm.
in your own language, so you have to translate everything. It takes time.
Yeah.
This is still a big challenge. It's not something that we
Yeah.
figure out yet. This is still
Yeah.
a big challenge.
Yeah. I can imagine that would be so, especially with the different languages, that would be so challenging.
Yeah. Like for now, I know that now for Italy, the law is different. Even hosting the event, depending on the type of music that you have to have authorization. So it's different
Wow.
everywhere. So we are really
Yeah.
trying to do the best that we can. But this is
Yeah.
a constant challenge. And we know that since we are keep on growing and trying to go to new places, this challenge will never stop.
Mm-hmm.
So we are trying
Yeah.
to actually find like a payroll company that could do everything for us. But of course, this
Yeah.
is a price.
Yeah.
So you need to find a good balance between that.
Yeah. Yeah, there'll be such great learning though, because yeah, in the moment it feels really hard and you're just trying to make it work, but once you kind of nail that, then yeah, you can translate that experience into so many other different things, I suppose.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, wow, it feels like yeah, really really complicated to me when I think about my business and when I operate just in New Zealand. And I already think that it's complicated enough because everything is expensive here. But yeah, hiring
Yeah.
people in other countries would be crazy. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. What else of other questions have I got here that I haven't I guess I didn't ask much about like the workshops itself because you've covered a little bit, like you have the host that comes in
Mhm.
and then a variety of designs that people can do. And how long do sessions normally last?
So our session always lasts 3 hours. We think that three
Hmm.
hours is the right time because sometimes a lot of our guests manage to eat. So
Hmm.
of course, when you eat, you put the canvas
Yeah.
away for a little time so you have time to eat.
Hmm.
So we think that 3 hours is really the perfect time. So when everyone come to our event, they got how would say that? Uh, they got their own introduction. So their hosts go to
Mm-hmm.
every table to explain
Mm-hmm.
to everyone how the workshop work, make
Mm-hmm.
sure that they understand how it works. Also, it's important that they know that the hosts are there for them because
Mm-hmm.
some people
Of
are really
course.
shy. So we always
Mm-hmm.
ask the host to go to every table, ask if everything is going smooth for them. They don't have to be
Mm-hmm.
shy to ask for help. In the beginning, we used to put paints on all tables so that people don't
Mm-hmm.
have to move. But
Yeah.
with time, we noticed that if people doesn't move, there's not really a lot of interactions. So now we have
Mm-hmm.
just one table with a painting, and if people want to paint, they have
Mm-hmm.
to come to
Yeah.
that the
Go
painting
get it.
station, we call that,
Yeah.
and just grab the painting. And that's also how people exchange, talk,
Mm-hmm.
exchange with us. If they have a question, we can talk to them at that station. So that's
Mm-hmm.
a small thing that we found that would just bring more interaction to the workshops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That makes total sense. Yeah, because I guess it'll be like quite, social. Do you have a lot of people coming by themselves?
We have a few, yeah. I think every
Yeah.
session there are several people that are just coming by themselves. They just
Yeah.
want their
Or meet
time,
people.
paint, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That's really cool.
But I don't know
And
if
you
it's
said they go. You
sorry,
said
go
3
ahead.
hours, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. 3 hours. Yeah. 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 Well, you were saying something else. Sorry.
Yeah, and I was saying, I don't know if it's the same with you, but our
Mhm.
attendance is 95% of women.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say
So I
so.
guess it's the same
I
for
would say.
everyone.
Yeah. 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 And then sometimes there'll be. Actually, I had the other day a booking come through with like a male name. And it's around no, was it around Valentine's Day? Oh, I can't remember now. But yeah, I would say 95, if not like
100.
97, 98% women. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Which yeah, it's interesting. I've tried to run ads to males, but I think even the males who have come to they just don't think about booking those things. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because even the males who came to my workshops, I think it was like, the girl booked or something.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite interesting. Um, in Once people leave the workshop, like, do you have any sort of follow up with the attendees in terms of like them giving you feedback or a review, or how does that work in your system?
So in the beginning, we didn't, but a few months
Mm-hmm.
ago, we started to work with Mailjet. So with our ticketing service, it's
Mm-hmm.
connected with API. I think it's some technical things that I don't really understand.
Mm-hmm.
But once someone comes to the event and leave, 48 hours later, he got a automated email that is asking them for feedback. And from that
Mm-hmm.
on, we know what to improve, who was working that day, what
Mm-hmm.
happened. It's just 5 questions. It takes literally 2 minutes to fill.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the only way that we find to actually improve. So it's really
Mm-hmm.
important because
Yeah.
when we're hosting big events for like 90 to 100 people, we don't have time to talk to everyone. So
Yeah.
uh, if we can even get 10% feedback of that attendance, it's already
Mm-hmm.
a win for us because
Mm-hmm.
that can avoid us to make a big mistake in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes total sense. I think getting that feedback is quite important. And wow, if you're doing like an event with 200 people, that's pretty crazy. Um, when you're doing like a group of 200 people, you have more than one host, right?
Yeah, of
What is like your
course.
ratio?
So we haven't done 200 first. We only did
Ah,
100.
okay. Okay, okay,
And
okay.
when we do
Still,
such
that's
big
a lot.
groups,
Yeah.
when we do
Yeah.
such big groups, we do 2 sessions. So 2 sessions of 50 people. And
Mm-hmm.
we have one host every 15 people. So
Okay.
if it's 50
Mm-hmm.
people, we have three or four hosts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because since we are
Yeah.
giving a really introduction to every table, if you have
Mm-hmm.
45 people and they have to wait for one host, they gonna get the
No.
explanation in an hour. So you're really trying
Yeah,
to have
no.
enough
Yeah.
hosts so that things run fast. And we found that 15 was the right number. So
Mm-hmm.
one
Yeah.
host every 15 people.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Wow, that'd still be quite a lot to pull off. With yeah, so many people. I've done a few workshops with 40 people, and there was me and someone else running it. And then we also had like a bartender, so that was pretty crazy. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I don't do those big ones anymore really. Because they're just yeah they're a lot they're a lot to pull off in terms of like all the organization leading up to it, and then they're good fun, but they can be quite a lot.
The good thing with working with hotels is that
Hmm.
everything is there. The tables, the chair. You just
Hmm.
come to you with your material, you put it on the table. At the end of
Yeah,
event, you take it back and you go
yeah,
home.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what makes things run faster. They have a lot of bartenders, they have their waiter. So
Hmm. Yeah,
this really make things smoother.
yeah, yeah. Because I guess like the hosts are there really just for, facilitate helping with the art creation,
Exactly.
and then
Yeah,
the hotel and the bar has their own staff, which kind
exactly.
of also works in collaboration with you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so awesome. In terms of like where, because you mentioned you have two new cities starting in the next few days.
Yeah.
So what I mean, I guess I can already see what the future of Painterly will be because you will just gonna keep on expanding to other cities. But if you want to go a little bit over like what is the future of Painterly, like what is in the plans for the next I don't know, year or two or five.
Okay, so we have a vision, and
Mm-hmm.
our vision is to be present in all the big cities in Europe. That's
Mm-hmm.
Painterly vision for the next 3 years, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I think we'd have to redefine our vision because it's actually working. So maybe we
Mm-hmm.
need to have some more perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, right now the goal is really to be present in the big cities in Europe. What we would like with Paintly is that when someone is going on vacation, Paintly is in their itinerary. What we noticed already is that,
Mm-hmm.
for example, people living in, let's say, Amsterdam, they come on a
Mm-hmm.
week trip to Brussels and they're like, oh, we enjoyed that activity. Let's do it there as well. So they
Mm-hmm.
plan to come again because they had a good experience back in their places. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what we would like to have just everywhere. It's like going
Yeah.
to McDonald's. You know that, oh, if you like McDonald's,
Yeah.
you can go to
Yeah.
every McDonald's.
Yeah. So you kind of want to operate as a franchise, but not as in like sell to other people, like do it all from your team. Does that make sense?
Um,
Or would you want to franchise?
that's actually the talk we are having right now with my co-founder because
Mm.
we have 20 people in the team now, so it's still doable. But what
Mm-hmm.
now if you have 100 people texting us, hey, I have a problem, hey, I have this, hey, I have this.
Mm-hmm.
So there's two way, or you franchise,
Mm-hmm.
so you sell the concept with someone with your
Mm-hmm.
guidelines,
Mm-hmm.
or you can try to do everything by your own. But I think this system has its own limitations because
Mm-hmm.
if you have 100 events running at the same time, 100
Yeah.
locations, I don't even think it's possible to do that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And do you think you guys could hire? I guess that's sort of like the next topic that I really wanted to chat, but up to you how much you want to chat about it, which is more like the financial side of things.
yeah.
But what I was thinking is like, could you afford to hire, I don't know, like event coordinators like from the different countries so that because you so far you know that you can manage 20 hosts. So if you had, a team
20
of,
event coordinator.
yeah, to kind of
So
scale in that way.
we thought about that, but
Mm-hmm.
now there are a lot of barrier with having an event coordinator. The
Mm-hmm.
first one is that he can just do the thing on his own, since
Yeah.
the
Mm-hmm.
uh, if he knows how everything are running, the where you
Mm-hmm.
get the furniture and how you
Mm-hmm.
market, he can just do it on his own. Even if you
Mm-hmm.
try to do NDA, he can just tell his
Mm-hmm.
sister, okay, do it with your name, then it's not me.
Mm-hmm.
So this
Mm-hmm.
is one of the hard part that we are having now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the solution would be so instead of hiring an event coordinator, maybe
Mm-hmm.
hire someone that has a big percentage on the all the revenue stream, so he doesn't
Mm-hmm.
feel like uh, he can do it on himself because he always he got good
Mm-hmm.
money, and
Mm-hmm.
you just get a small percentage, so a type of franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, since the I would say the to start a sip and paint is not hard, if I can say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You really have to think about, yeah, if I'm giving always all my knowledge to someone, he can just
Mm-hmm.
copy and do something else. You're not even in the same
Mm-hmm.
country. Even if you want to pursue him, it's gonna take ages.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
money involved, so that's really
Yeah.
worth it. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
also the challenging of expanding actually. You have less
Mm-hmm.
control.
Yeah, totally. I totally feel you. I think that yeah, it would really have to be yeah, a really thoughtful process because yeah, starting it is really not hard, but I guess what you have that someone else who starts from scratch that they don't have is that sort of like brand and marketing knowledge,
Yeah,
which I guess if you find like an event coordinator who's not good in this, at that side of things, or like the marketing and business side of things, they can work really well. But
yeah, true.
then you never know; they might find someone else who does that side of things.
Exactly.
But yeah, I feel you. Yeah, yeah. I've been told that I should franchise, but like a year ago, before I started my online thing, I was told I should franchise, but I was like, no, I'm not going to franchise. I'm just going to help people all over the world setting it up by
Yeah.
themselves. So that's kind of what I've been doing.
Yeah. I
But
think
yeah.
you have really two school. Franchising will make your company be really a big company, I would say. For example,
Hmm.
if you want to sell the company, you can say, okay, I
Hmm.
have 20 franchise, the company is worth this price. But doing the events the way we do, we have
Hmm.
less fees and we have
Hmm.
more margin. Instead of
Yeah.
if you franchise and open a studio, you have more fees and maybe you're more profitable. Even if you're still
Hmm.
profitable, you're less profitable, I would say, than
Hmm.
someone that just come with his material, host and leave. Because
Hmm.
he can do the same event as you, but with less fees. So
Yeah.
those are really the
Yeah.
two things. It also depends on your vision. What do you see? Do you want to have franchise all around the world and sell the company one day?
Hmm.
Or do you just want to make a lot of profit right now and make the company growth in another way? It depends on the vision that you have for the company as well.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm. Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah, I never really thought about franchising because I've worked in marketing as well, and I've worked for a company that they had their own franchisees, and it was part of my role to deal with them. And oh my
okay.
gosh, my cat's around here, please don't destroy the cables. It's just my cat.
All right.
And dealing with them, I feel like in New Zealand there's not a very strong franchisee culture, as in like yeah, here I feel like New Zealanders are very much like a free spirit. And look, this is
Okay.
just my opinion. It's not based off any study, but I think that it's really hard for New Zealanders to like stick with the franchise model. They kind of try to rebel against it a little bit.
Oh, okay.
While, Americans love their franchise model. Like I think Americans nail, and that's why, McDonald's and the other ones are also successful. They really nail the franchise model. But I think in New Zealand, it's just a pain in the ass. Then you like trying to deal with people, going rogue and doing their own thing, and you're like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. So I never really thought. I've gotten that advice from, like old school people in business sort of thing that
Hmm.
I should franchise, but I'm like, no, I don't want to deal with that. That's too much. It becomes a totally different business at the end of the
Yeah, it's
day.
another core business. It's not
Yeah.
hosting events anymore. It's
Yeah.
something
No.
else.
No. That's so interesting. I'm really curious to see like how Painterly will go from here on. I'll definitely I'm planning some travels later on this year, so I might be in Europe for a little while, and if I am,
Okay, that's
I'll
cool.
try to come. There's actually an event in Brussels that a friend of mine is organizing. It's this big conference, so hopefully I'll go to that
Oh, yeah,
later
you're
on
more
this
than
year.
welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll pop into one of Paintley's workshops. That'll be so fun.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
Yeah, yeah, I would really love to. It's just been so yeah, it's just been so nice to chat with you because I feel like we see these, companies operating worldwide, and sometimes they're franchises, so they're like big groups with a lot of people behind them, and sometimes they're like, one person that they narrate everything on social media. But then there's like this sort of, I would say, middle ground where I feel like Paintly is kind of in the middle, where you're not like a huge franchise with a lot of people operating everywhere, even though you are operating in a lot of places. But if you look at Paintly's social media, like you also don't see who are the people behind it.
Yeah.
So I think it's been like really interesting to chat with you and like understand sort of your journey and what your experience has been like, and where you want to go in the future. I think that's really cool. Are you aware of like any other sort of companies doing a similar thing than what you're doing in Europe?
So there are a lot of companies hosting events more in the UK. I know in the
Mm-hmm.
UK you have a big sip and paint event, but they don't
Mm-hmm.
really move like we do. They have their own location and they just host events back to back. So
Mm-hmm.
company moving, I haven't seen none for the moment. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we just have too much energy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's a model that it works really well because yeah, in terms of like the fixed costs, you don't have a commercial space, so
yeah,
you can have a really good margin and at the same time provide like a really great experience to people. And yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit when I came across Paintly, there was something about it that reminded me a little bit about, Fever Up.
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit about Fever Up in the sense of like, I mean, they do a very different thing, but in the sense of like, I don't know where they operate from, and I know they're like a huge company with venture
Yeah,
capital, but they, have people on the ground who go with the candles to set up these
yeah,
candlelight
exactly.
concerts everywhere.
Yeah,
And they just hire, the artists to play and the person to set up the candles, and they move from place to place. And they really nail that marketing of like making people want to go to these events.
yeah,
And it painfully reminded me of Fever Up in a way,
yeah,
which I think is really cool. It's sort of like making these experiences, like classical music used to be, I wouldn't say gate kept, but you know, it used to be like a very niche
yeah,
people
exactly.
that would go to classical music, and they're making it like affordable and more approachable.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
feel the
yeah.
same thing happens with the arts field. Is like there's there's sort of like idea of like, oh, you have to make art in a certain way, but actually like anyone can come around and with some guidance from someone who knows how to paint, they can do something. And I think is this sort of like democratizing or making it
Yeah.
more
Yeah, just
approachable,
accessible, yeah. That's actually what we
accessible.
are
Yeah,
trying to do, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because like yeah, you don't have to go study art at uni to be able to create something.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Um, yeah, and yeah, I think a lot of people are starting to see that now. Well, in the
When I go
past.
to the events, because sometimes I still go to the events just to see from time to
Hmm.
time, people
Hmm.
always ask me, "Oh, do you know how to paint?" And I always say, "No." Unfortunately, no. But
Yeah.
with time now, since it's been 2 years, I've been to so many events. I'm not good at drawing, but I start to manage the mix of colors, how to do brown, how to do certain types of
Hmm.
colors, skin tone. So yeah,
Hmm.
the knowledge is coming in.
Yeah, yeah, like you don't have to, yeah, you don't need formal training. I mean, probably some art people would disagree because, there's all of this, I don't know, I guess knowledge that is given in art school, about
Yeah,
composition and all those kind of things, but I don't really think you need all of that, but
yeah.
awesome. Yeah. Um, I feel like we kind of briefly talked about most of the things that I had on my list to ask you about. I wonder, like, is there anything else that you feel like is sort of important to like about your journey or about Paintly that you feel like we haven't covered?
Did you ask about Bentley's future? I think you did actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Maybe my answer was not really complete then. So
Mm-hmm. Cool.
I know I said about that we want to be present in all the big cities in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
But beside the event, we are now launching our e-commerce that will actually launch next week.
Oh,
So
cool.
we have a painting kit. So it's called a painting kit. So it's all the
Mm-hmm.
material to design the sea paint in a nice box. The box has a special footer that we got. I don't know how to say that in English actually. We got licensed it since it's a really
Mm-hmm.
new design that doesn't exist yet. So this is gonna be
Mm-hmm.
launched in a few months. And right now, we also have the small beer drip that you see on social media that are really trendy.
Yeah, I
And
saw that. Yeah,
we
yeah.
are launching the beer drip box this Monday, actually, next Monday. So this is
Mm-hmm.
gonna be our first product. The painting box is gonna come later.
Mm-hmm.
But we are really trying to diversify
Diversify.
than just doing the workshop. And
Mm-hmm.
in the next 5 years, we have more projects coming, but those one are a little bit
Cool.
secret.
Yeah, okay. That's fine. Yeah, totally. I wouldn't expect you to reveal all your secrets, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like that sort of diversification in terms of the kits, they could really work as well. I've done it in the past and didn't just took too
Mhm.
much time from me. Um, but I think, yeah, that's a smart because people are already coming to you for something creative
Yeah,
to do,
exactly.
you know. And you can even have people who come to the workshops and they kind of want to have like a house party with their friends or something and they
Yeah,
can order the
exactly.
kits, so
Yeah.
it makes total sense. That's so exciting. Oh, I'm looking forward to go to one of Paintly's sessions. I'm pretty sure it will happen at some point. I just don't know when because I haven't booked any tickets. Just trying to nail my operations here to make sure that I go and my team is still running the workshops.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for chatting with me. I won't take any more of your time.
No, no worries.
I
Uh,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, I thought there was like a last part when you wanted to talk more about the financial, or do you want to skip that? Or
Um oh, we were briefly talking about it actually, but we didn't go too much into it because I was asking about hiring people in other countries and then I got distracted because yeah, I get distracted all the time. But
no
um
worries.
but yeah, I'm super keen to talk about like more of the financial stuff if you are, and also I can cut this out if you say something that you don't want, publicly, I
Okay.
can cut that out.
Yeah, yeah, sure, no
But
problem.
yeah, I'm super intrigued because I know that you don't do it full time, and I'm curious to know you don't do it full time because you can't take a full time salary out of Paintly because you're still like in growth mode, trying to invest everything back, or yeah, I don't know how much of the numbers you can or want to share, but yeah, do you
Yeah, I
do you
can
know what I
share
mean?
some numbers, obviously.
That's
So
cool.
regarding me still having a part-time job, a lot of, I think all the entrepreneurs I meet are asking me, why do you still working? And until today,
Yeah.
I don't have the answer. I don't
Okay.
know. I feel like
Yeah.
since growing in an African household, you
Hmm.
have a diploma, your parents want you to have some stability, you know. So I
Hmm.
think it's kind of part of that. I've been brainwashed to have a job, it's important.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think we could live from Paintly. What can I say regarding the numbers? For example, in 2024, yeah, so last
Hmm.
year we did more or less $200,000 in revenue.
Hmm.
We had maybe 4,000 or 5,000 clients through the
Hmm.
year.
Wow. Hmm.
So yeah, those are really good numbers, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Uh,
amazing. Yeah.
we are always, the thing is, we have been so much into the events. We want every event to be full every time that sometimes we
Hmm.
even forget about strategy, etc. But that's why
Hmm.
right now we're working on diversification, etc.
Yeah.
But back in the
Yeah.
days, we were really like, this event need to be full by next week, and we just
Yeah,
market,
let's
do
go. Yeah.
emailing. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that too well. But that's so cool. Wow, that's amazing. And do you have a good grasp of your profit margin?
I think the profit margin is around 80%.
Oh, wow. 80%
So
profit margin.
yeah.
I guess you don't have like yeah, like a, commercial lease or a lot of fixed costs. So it's mostly just
No.
like
So
paint
we
and staff.
have no fixed cost. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of our strengths. The only
Mm-hmm.
fixed cost that we have is so that girl with who we are working that is handling the influencers. So she's
Mm-hmm.
actually our only fixed employee.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we have no fixed cost except
Yeah.
maybe from Google Agenda, the platform you are using for the calendar. But those are small costs. We
Mm-hmm.
don't have like a high
Yeah.
cost. We don't have
Mm-hmm.
rental,
Mm-hmm.
even of our storage unit is not really that expensive. So our costs are
Mm-hmm.
quite small, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. And also like the paint materials are not super expensive, I'd imagine. So
Yeah,
it's
since you
mostly
are
like
really
staff. Yeah.
targeting everyone. You're not
Mm-hmm.
targeting professional that require special
Mm-hmm.
paint. We are really trying
Mm-hmm.
to make art accessible to everyone. It doesn't need to work
Mm-hmm.
with high quality painting.
Yeah.
If of course a
For
brand
beginner
want to
stuff, yeah.
sponsor us, we wouldn't say no. But right now,
Of
we're
course.
not working with
Yeah.
high quality
Yeah.
painting.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes total sense. Wow, that's so amazing. And do you have, I mean, I don't know if you want to say it, but do you have sort of a target for this year, 2025?
We haven't defined it yet.
Okay.
Since we are also launching the e-commerce, we don't really
Mm-hmm.
know how is it gonna go. So we haven't set our
Mm-hmm.
targets yet, but we are going to do it, I think, in the next few weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Still in the planning stage. I guess it's only January. I feel like it's later on because I've been like planning February, March, April. Because I'm always like selling tickets in advance. In here, people in New Zealand buy tickets with a lot of notice.
Okay.
So I feel like my brain is already in March and April.
Yeah,
But it's
same.
actually only January. Yeah. Yeah. That's so awesome. And when you, so you started in 2023, is
So
that
we
right?
started in November 2022.
Two, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember from the top of your head, do you remember like what was that first year? Like what was the revenue of that first year?
So the 2022 or the 2023?
I guess
Because
2023. So just to
yeah,
compare to 2024, yeah.
2023 was like 97,000
Oh
in
wow. So you
revenue.
like more,
So we did like
yeah, you
more
more,
than 100%
yeah.
growth. So that's
Hmm.
good, but it's also a challenge for what's coming next. Like,
Yeah.
are you gonna do it
Yeah.
again?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have some
Because
pressure
now,
on our shoulders right now.
yeah. Yeah. Doubling that would be like, yeah, 400,
Yeah,
400K, which is pretty crazy. But I guess like once you nail sort of like the core operations of how you function,
yeah,
in that part of like hiring in other cities, there's so many big cities in Europe,
yeah,
that yeah, I can totally see it working really well. And I noticed that the big franchise from Australia that is operating here in New Zealand as well. I think they're trying to go to the UK,
okay,
and they do like paint and sip, just based off a location. And you have that you have like if it's a very similar concept. So if you know if there's a market for that, then you have a way upper hand in that sense because you kind of do the same thing but with a way bigger margin, way sort of easier operation because you don't have to go and rent a space.
yeah, 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 yeah,
So I can totally see it working in more cities, and I'm very excited to see it. That's so cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. What else? Let me just double check here in my finance.
Mm,
Do the other co-founder of Paintly, does he also have like another job?
yeah, and he has a
Yeah.
full-time job.
What? That's crazy. That is
Yeah.
crazy.
So
But I
actually,
guess in yeah.
last
Yeah, go for it.
year, we
Mm-hmm.
were really going. So I have a part-time, so I only go to the office until lunchtime, and then I'm free
Mm-hmm.
to work on my business. But he has
Mm-hmm.
a full-time job, and he sometimes comes to the event. So last year, some week we had the week that we call the marathon. So from Wednesday until Sunday, we have events. And or I go
Wow.
or he goes, I go, he goes, I go, he goes, and it just goes like this. But everyone is just asking us why you don't just quit. But
Yeah.
we haven't
Yeah.
find the answer yet.
Yeah. Because I also guess like when you starting a business, like the least amount of money you can take from the business, the better will be for the business because it will allow you
Exactly.
to grow.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I totally get, and it's something that I considered in my first year. So last year, I considered like, should I get a part time or should I get some freelancing clients so that I can, take less from that
Yeah.
business to myself. I can grow it faster, but yeah, I just can't. I just don't want to work for other people at the moment. I'm just
Yeah, I feel
happy to
you.
be a free bird. Yeah, yeah. All right, I do have some like a sort of a final question for you,
Yeah,
which
sure.
is if you had to give someone like a piece of advice, someone who either wants to start like, you know, some sort of creative business or creative workshops. Doesn't necessarily have to be the same as what you're doing, but what sort of advice, based off your experience, what sort of advice would you give to people?
I think I would advise them to be consistent. I think
Hmm.
consistency is really important. For example, I remember back in March 2023, in
Hmm.
February, I mean, 2023, we had one event where we just had four people, and we were thinking, oh, okay, maybe it was just a trend. It's over now. We did what we could. But in the month of March, all our events were sold out. So we were
Hmm.
thinking about quitting while it was actually just the beginning of something way bigger than what we thought. And this is
Hmm.
because I have done a lot of events in the past. good events, bad events, but I have just never stopped because I always believed that what I was doing was good.
Hmm.
And some days can go down, some days can go up, but just try to be consistent. And with consistency, you can go really far.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. That I would I would say the same thing. I think consistency is more important than anything else. More
Yeah.
important than having like a brilliant idea.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
consistency in executing is
Yeah,
what differentiates people who do it and people who don't.
exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. I will get like all your links to add to the show notes of the podcast, so
Yeah,
that people
sure.
can find you and
Yeah.
you know, connect with Paintly, and maybe even because I do have quite a bit of audience from Europe, so
Oh,
maybe they'll
okay, that's good.
find Paintly workshops and they'll come to your sessions. And I will wrap her up now and I will stop the recording, but
Okay,
don't leave the
great.
studio, okay?
Yeah, no worries.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being part of the podcast.
Yeah, no worries. It was a great pleasure.
Awesome.